we already talked a bit about like the storyline and the input and stuff. So how much input do you have as an actor, because you know your character better than anyone else? And where would you like to see him or her go during this new season?
Well, Georgie's had more input into her character than any actor on Neighbours because of she created her character.
Yeah, so I pitched my character. So at the beginning, there was a really good dynamic kind of established with the writers where they wanted my input in Mackenzie, and that's kind of carried over not just in terms of Mackenzie's trans experience, but just everything. They're very used to me walking into the writer's room with some crazy ideas. I love pitching crazy stories to them. Usually they don't fly, but you know, I think they enjoy hearing me pitch the crazy stuff. They're very happy to get feedback on specific moments. They're all really cool. They're really wonderful.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. It's a very large building we work in. There's 200 people work there, and when lunchtime comes around, it's huge. You know, there's a lot of people there, and it's not uncommon for people to grab one of the head writers and go, "Oh, I've just had this idea," and over lunch and throw an idea. And very, very often they find their way into the storybook down the track. Interestingly, I've pitched ideas to the writers for my own character that they used for someone else. It's kind of like they find the best way to make the best out of these stories. And the wonderful thing with our writers, because we've got the brilliant Shane Nashev is back writing on the show. Shane is once again somebody who has a razor-like memory for Neighbours, is that having played a character for 28 years, they know my character as well as I do as well. So they're always coming up with some gorgeous little way to bend the character out of shape a little bit, give you a challenge. And that's what actors look for. We don't necessarily look for the opportunity to say, "Oh, I'd like to play this story, please," or "I'd like to play that story." What is wonderful is when a script turns up and it challenges you and you go, "Whoa, how do I get here?" Okay, it's my job to find out how to make this work.
Absolutely. That's great. It's always fun to be challenged, and there's always something to challenge you in this show. There's always something, and there's something nice too about not knowing what's coming up and getting a script for the first time and reading it and going, "Oh wow, this is nuts." That's part of the fun, I think.
I mean, a classic example was when Susan slipped on milk, and Jackie and I read the story and we rang each other up and went, "Have you read this? I mean, like, how can this happen?" And then we found out it did happen in the UK. It was a real story. And
really?
Yeah, it happened up north. A woman slipped on in the supermarket, knocked herself out and couldn't remember anything after 16. And then Jackie said about playing that story, which seems extraordinary. She played it with such incredible humanity and genius, and I had pleasure being part of it, that it was totally plausible. And one of our best stories, I think.
Congratulations on the new launch. I live in London, and for the new series, we have like a Neighbours exhibition, so where people can walk around the sets.
Yeah, we were there last night.
Oh, cool!
We were there at the launch of it last night. Yeah.
And so, how was it to be on the set for the very first day, for like the very first season, and then for this new season?
Sorry, when we came, very first day when we came back. It was a bit oddly, and I said this before, oddly for me, I was a little bit nervous, which is bizarre for, to go back and play a character that I knew and loved so well. But it was like first day nerves a bit. But then very, very quickly we put on the comfy shoes and they fitted quite nicely. And within a couple of days we were just back to square where we were.
Yeah. Working with, as we said before, lots of new faces and people. So, they're getting to know us, we're getting to know them. So,
and we do know.
That was quite nerve-wracking, sort of. There was a lot of familiar elements to it, like a lot of old people, our old sets and our old green rooms and dressing rooms and all that sort of thing, but a lot of new. So
I've got my penthouse back.
It was it's just kind of like first day nerves of any sort of new job in a way, but also that familiarity as well.
But the thing about it is what you have to understand is that was nearly 6 months ago for us, and we are now very, very comfortable. All the new faces that we were talking about are now becoming old faces because we've got to know them well already. But yeah, and we're just trucking along now, aren't we?
Yeah.
This is where it started. This is where my heart is. This is where it started.
I love you.
This is home to me.
I will never, ever forget our wedding day.
This is where it started.
Marriage means different things to different people.
This cannot go wrong.
This is where it started.
I think they call it making an entrance.